We have one of the experts. We have with us Dick Morris, a strategist, a commentator, best-selling author. Good morning, Dick. How are you this Sunday morning?
Hey, John, I'm doing great. Doing good.
What's going on in politics? My God, the Republicans and the Democrats are all fighting with each other. They're killing each other.
Yeah, well, there's always a survivor in those matches. I think that this all seems very familiar to me, John, because I worked for President Clinton, as you know, in the late in the 1990s. And at that point, the Republicans thought they had a gold mine in attacking Bill Clinton over Monica Lewinsky. And they put all of their eggs in that basket. And that's all they talked about: impeachment and Monica Lewinsky and perjury. And then when the elections of 1998 came around for Congress, right smack in the middle of all of this, Democrats gained seats. The Clinton administration gained seats. And the Republicans who were attacking him over Monica lost them. Now it's the exact opposite, but it's the same principle. The Democrats who are attacking Trump think that they have a panacea in the Stormy Daniels scandal and in the possibility of impeachment. And that's all they're talking about: Stormy and Mike Cohn and the payoffs and extortion and with the Moscow and and all of that. And in fact, the Republicans under Trump are talking about jobs and terrorism in Korea and Iran, and they are steadily moving up in their ratings, and the Democrats are steadily dropping. Since the Stormy Daniels scandal started, Trump's approval rating has gone from 40 to 45. From the beginning of the year, it's gone from 37 to 45. And the advantage of the Democrats over the Republicans in the House elections has been cut more than in half. And they're going down the same trap, the same sort of fool's gold that deceived the Republicans in 98 is now luring the Democrats into making the same mistake this year.
And the American people really don't care that
Exactly.
something that happened 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It's just, now, Michael Cohen, you were talking about the other day that the Russians paid him $500,000.
Yep.
And
Well,
how does that connect in?
Well, they gave him $500,000 apparently to invest, and that probably was a payoff. It probably was to to buy Cohen's influence as a lobbyist on Trump. And unfortunately, that's fairly routine in Washington, and there's nothing illegal about it. But that same guy, Victor Vekselberg, the same Russian oligarch that gave Cohen $500,000, gave Bill and Hillary $100,000 for the Clinton Foundation, and another $25,000 that they got one of their people to send them. So the exact same guy paid Michael Cohen, and a few years earlier paid the Clintons. And the prosecutor, Mueller, completely ignores the payoffs to the Clintons, but he's focusing like crazy on the payoffs to Mike Cohen, who has no influence, as opposed to the Clintons, one of whom was Secretary of State and the other a former president.
Now, do you think there's a double standard in Washington?
Oh, yeah, sure. Sure there is. The Clintons are getting away with murder, particularly with the Clinton Foundation, which is now re-upping. It's reestablishing itself. And the pay for play that went on there is extraordinary. And there are many politicians who have been found guilty of much less, who are either in jail or on their way to jail, and the Clintons have escaped so far scot-free.
You think that some of the things that happened, me and you would be in jail for 30 years?
Well, no, about 30, but yeah, we wouldn't have a good time, John.
Under President Obama, what was the name of the gentleman that made that movie? And he made a $10,000 illegal contribution. He went to jail.
Yeah, right. DeSosa. Yeah,
DeSosa.
That's right. But I think that the Democrats are overplaying their hand. I think that they see fool's gold in these scandals, and they're putting everything behind the Stormy Daniels scandal and Michael Cohen, and the newspapers, the New York Times reports on nothing else. And the country doesn't give a damn. When you look at the two-frame picture going on TV today, on one side you see Stormy Daniels and Mike Cohn, and on the other side you see Kim Jong-un and President Trump. Guess what the American people are interested in? Avoiding a nuclear war and solving the most intractable foreign policy problem we've had over the last 30 years. And if they get distracted from that, remember how big a deal ISIS was? And it's dominated the campaign. It doesn't exist anymore. Trump has exterminated it by letting the generals loose. And this strategy of his, of confrontation as opposed to appeasement, that he's now applying to Iran, is also going to succeed. And it should be a real object lesson in the difference between democratic appeasement and Republican strength.
Now, you got your ears close to the ground. What do you hear about the Mueller investigation? What is he doing?
Well, I think he's trying to find a crime. And there's nothing worse than a prosecutor looking for a crime under every rock. And he's concluded that there's no crime in the collusion, because there wasn't any, that there's no crime in obstruction of justice, because he can't prove it. And to prove it, he has to enter into Trump's mind and say, what were you thinking when you fired Comey? Were you thinking that you needed a new head of the FBI who was loyal to you and would do his job and wouldn't lie to you? Or were you thinking, hey, now I can cover up my work with Russia? What was your thinking? And he can't prove that. So now what he's trying to do is to get Trump to sit down with him in an under oath interview for 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 hours and ask him every little detail of what happened over the last 10 years of his life. And if he makes one mistake, he pounces on it and he indicts Trump for perjury and says, this is obstruction of justice, impeach him.
What do you think of Rudy Giuliani?
I think he's great. And I think that the people that say that he's a loose cannon and misspoke are Democrats trying to tarnish him. The fact is that he was brilliant in what he did. The issue was a legal question. Was the $130,000 that Michael Cohen paid to Stormy Daniels to keep quiet and was then reimbursed by Trump an illegal campaign contribution? Now, the law says this. It says that if the $130,000 was solely intended as hush money in order to help Trump get elected, bear in mind it was before he was a candidate, then it's illegal. But if it had another purpose, like to make sure he doesn't get divorced and that Melania doesn't hang him, then it's not an illegal contribution because it can have multiple purposes and not be illegal. And Rudy was making that point, and because he succeeded in doing that, any legal basis for going after Trump for that payment or Cohen for that payment is gone. And the media totally ignored it. It was very simple. They could have explained it just like I did. But they don't do that. And as a result, they say, boy, isn't Rudy a schmuck for doing this.
We got 30 seconds. What do you want to tell the American media and the American public on Sunday morning?
There is no blue wave coming. There's a red wave. And what makes it red is the blood of the Democratic Party.
God bless you, and we'll talk to you again real soon. And I look forward to our next dinner.
Thank you, Kat. Bye-bye.
This is the Cats Roundtable. We'll be right back.